Hello and welcome to this National Theatre live broadcast of part one of Angels in America, Millennium Approaches. I'm here on the wonderful London South Bank and we're thrilled to be bringing you this much anticipated production. Now, with scores of 5-star reviews and a sellout run here at the National, it's one of the theatrical events of the year. And as NT Live's 60th broadcast, we're especially excited to bring you this unique two-part cinema event. Now, as you'll have seen, NT Live is sponsored in the UK by Sky Arts, and they support us in bringing world-class theatre to your cinema. Now, Angels in America is a multi-award-winning play written by Tony Kushner, and this production is directed by Marianne Elliott. Set in America in the mid-80s, in the midst of the AIDS crisis and a conservative Reagan administration, it explores the lives of New Yorkers as they grapple with life and death, love and sex, and heaven and hell. Described as a gay fantasia, Angels is much more than your average drama, and we'll have more on that in a lovely short film in just a second. Now, next week we'll be bringing you part two, Perestroika, so do check your local cinema listings to book for this if you haven't already done so, or head to our website ntlive.com for more information. If you stay tuned right to the end of our broadcast, you'll get an exclusive sneak peek of what's to come next week. Now, the performance runs for approximately 3 hours and 30 minutes with 2 intervals, and I'll be back in the intervals to tell you about upcoming NT Live broadcasts, and I'll bring you some exclusive news. Now, before the performance begins, we have a short documentary to share with you featuring interviews with Marianne Elliott and Tony Kushner about the origins of the play, its social and political context, but also its relevance today. The play will begin after this film. We hope you enjoy it.
And I'm here because people with AIDS live in the streets of New York City, and that's the policy of this administration. It's not a mistake.
The AIDS virus attacks and destroys white blood cells, stripping the body of its resistance to other illnesses. AIDS victims soon fall prey to cancers, pneumonia, fevers, and wasting sickness. Equally frightening, the number of AIDS cases is doubling within a time span of 10 to 12 months. And there is still no known cure.
The play was written about the mid-'80s, about the politics of the AIDS epidemic, which is now a global pandemic, the fundamental situation of a group of disenfranchised and oppressed people struggling for emancipation in the middle of a biological calamity.
15,000 Americans have already died from the disease, and the numbers are doubling each year. If it continues at this rate, it's estimated that in 1990, more people could die of AIDS in that year than were killed on the American side in the Vietnam War. And all that doctors can offer for now is comfort.
Do you know what that is? Love! Do you know what love means?
Everybody in Angels is facing incredibly difficult things. Young people are facing death at an age when young people should never have to face death, or they're facing having to take care of someone with a catastrophic illness at an age when they're not really together enough to do that.
I was very drawn to its magic realism, its the supernatural, the subconscious, the bravery of it. So it starts off in quite domestic, realistic settings and then grows and grows and grows beyond and beyond and beyond that.
Dykes and Fags are here to say we have gay pride every day. Dykes and Fags.
I gave it the title, The Gay Fantasia on National Themes. I didn't know at the time that I meant it or that anybody would ever take that seriously, that it was a kind of a campy, queenie thing to do, and it would be sort of fun. But the play does have an ambition. I mean, there's no question about it. I felt that theater was too willing to concede certain powers to film. Film was always so much better at making plausible illusion than theater is. But of course, the whole point of illusion in theater is that it's not good, is that it's always easy to see through. except when your emotions are engaged and you forget that you don't believe it and you start to believe it. And that's, I think, the core of the theatrical experience.
Snow! Ice! Mountains of ice! Well, there's a beautiful theatricality to it all. There's a sort of gloriousness to it. There's a sort of panache and an elegance to the way it's written and to the way that the characters have a sense of wit and performance to them as a way of coping with the situation, which if they didn't deal with it in that way of being witty or elegant, then they would sort of just sink into the doldrums. I mean, I totally understand that, I think, because I'm from a very theatrical family. They used to do that all the time.
Trailing sequins and incense, he came into this world. Trailing sequins and incense, he departed it. And good for him.
I thought the 20 professional Sicilian mourners were a bit much.
I think that some of the political questions that the play addresses are still relevant. Some of them are more relevant. I would be much happier if it felt like an antique bit of sort of like nostalgia and Reaganism had just sort of gone away. It's quite upsetting that we're still listening to the same nonsense.
When Tony wrote the plays, I think he tried to keep it contained to one play. But he found that these characters couldn't resolve themselves in 3 hours. I suppose what he wanted to do with them is to really take them down into the depths of the murky water and bring them out cleansed. So that's not going to be a quick, easy thing.
I think the thing that's always been true about Angels in America is that it really is about human relationships, love, betrayal, fear, mortality. And I don't know that those things become irrelevant at any point.
It's about how we deal with erosion, how we find ways of renewing ourselves and surviving.